it's going to have to be a full-blown, I am sorry, I lied, I am a terrible person, tail in between the legs, and that's what we deserve. Everything, and it really was quite horrific because you just go, what kind of a monster even goes through with this CRD filing? Like, they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit. It was monstrous what she did, and she's got to pay for it.
Live birth porn.
There's going to be a lot stronger defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds.
But boy, I mean, it's just like, it's kind of embarrassing, right?
Hollywood's golden girl, Blake Lively. For years, she's charmed us on screen and off, the picture-perfect star, wife, and mom. But what if that flawless image was nothing but a carefully constructed facade? What if behind the dazzling smile and designer gowns lay a manipulative power player about to face a shocking downfall? Buckle up, because the fairy tale is over. And the reality? It's a Hollywood horror story.
Did it become clear to you that Blake Lively was the aggressor in this now epic showdown? Was it when Baldoni dropped the countersuit? Was it when Brian Friedman put up the website with the 170 pages and all the text? Or was it right away when the Times wrote?
Right away. I've always had an intuition about her, and I've always had an intuition about Taylor Swift and like the branding of the nice girl stuff. And something just didn't. I went through Justin Baldoni's Instagram, and he just seemed like a puppy.
Imagine the whispers turning to screams overnight. That's what happened when Candace Owens, known for taking no prisoners, slammed Blake Lively with a lawsuit. Narcissistic behavior, manipulation, a thirst for control. These weren't just tabloid rumors anymore. Owens' legal action was a direct hit, accusing Lively of monstrous actions and demanding she pay the price. This wasn't just a celebrity spat. It was a calculated strike designed to shatter Lively's carefully built kingdom. Suddenly, the whispers of Blake's darker side weren't just whispers anymore. They were headlines.
And I knew a bit about her. I knew how she grew up. I knew that she kind of was one of these people. What tends to be the case is that when you grow up with everything, you create things out of nothing because you're looking for struggle in your life and you're used to getting whatever it is that you want. So I just kind of had her down to a prototype and said, I'm going to pump the brakes and see what happens. And then when Brian Friedman came back with the facts, they were just undeniable. You know, it was undeniable.
The lawsuit dropped and the cracks in Blake's perfect persona widened into chasms. Reports began surfacing of a full-blown meltdown, a tantrum fit of epic proportions, screaming, crying, smashing things. The image painted was of an A-list toddler, enraged that the world wasn't bowing to her every whim. This wasn't the poised starlet the cameras loved. This was a woman reportedly losing her mind, revealing a stark contrast between her public image and private reality. The whispers turned to shouts. Was this the real Blake Lively?
It was kind of a radical thing to want, and they were arguing that, you know, careers could be ruined. Well, what could be ruined? You know, you might be a little embarrassed, but to ruin a career, there has to be some level of fraud. And so this filing to dismiss is essentially him saying like, nah, 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 boo, boo, on the defamation claim, you can't touch me because it's satire.
Enter Ryan Reynolds, the witty, charming husband seemingly rushing to his wife's defense. But his attempt to play knight in shining armor quickly turned into a comedy of errors. His legal team argued his inflammatory statements were satire, a joke, calling someone a predator, just harmless banter apparently. The judge wasn't laughing. The defense backfired spectacularly, exposing both Ryan and Blake to even more scrutiny. Instead of protecting his wife, Ryan's weak attempt at deflection only amplified the accusations, making them both look even more out of touch and arrogant.
There's 5 other claims. He's got extortion, he's got false light, and everything immediately falls apart there. But I'm saying even that was ill-advisable. I would not have said, quote unquote, hurt feelings and saying like they're basically bullying him again in the lawsuit. They've got you on this extortion. His argument is so weak. He's basically saying, well, I didn't receive any money. And it's like, buddy, extortion is a lot bigger than that. You made threats to go public with sexual harassment claims so that your wife could take over the movie, which you wrote scenes for.
Then came the evidence, the receipts, damning text messages, whispered threats, and accusations of extortion. Ryan's private chats with Hugh Jackman, meant to be secret, suddenly became potential weapons against him. The lawsuit unveiled claims of Blake and Ryan using threats of sexual harassment allegations to strong-arm studios. Also, Blake could seize control of a movie project. This wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This was about alleged calculated manipulation and abuse of power, and the evidence was starting to pile up.
There's going to be a lot stronger defamation claims against Ryan Reynolds because could you imagine the text messages between him and Hugh Jackman they're putting together all of these scenes? I mean, it's going to get crazy.
Well, I mean, they're all going to have to pay for the associated inconveniences, the travel, the lawyers, I mean, you know, if Hugh Jackman, anyone getting deposed who's got to make arrangements for it if they have to get their own lawyers or whatever it is. And here's Ryan, should be looking out for them and not himself.
The narrative shifted, and Blake was no longer just a spoiled starlet. She was being painted as the puppet master, the one pulling all the strings. Sources whispered that Ryan was merely a pawn in her game, forced into action by Blake's relentless ambition and need for control. She allegedly wanted him to be the tough guy, bullying studio heads, throwing his weight around, all to fulfill her own agenda. Blake, the behind-the-scenes manipulator, orchestrating chaos and using her husband to do her dirty work. The image of the sweet, supportive wife dissolved, replaced by a portrait of a calculated strategist.
With that question, I really do think she's just a spoiled brat. Like, it just goes down to something that simple. She's a spoiled brat, and she's used to getting what she wants from a time that she was a kid. And this is what she wanted. And I do think that people have not pieced together. Him and Blake Lively were deluded enough to believe that it was inorganic traffic online. Like this, there's no way people don't like us. We're so wonderful. We're so amazing. We're so hot. We're so pretty. Our friends are rich. We know Taylor Swift. The world loves us. Like, come on.
But Blake's alleged manipulation didn't stop with people. It extended to the very fabric of Hollywood, the media. Accusations surfaced of Blake weaponizing major publications like the New York Times and Glamour, using them to spin a false narrative, painting herself as the victim while smearing Justin Baldoni. It was described as a propaganda machine in action, straight out of a playbook, with Blake and her PR team gaslighting the public. The carefully crafted magazine covers and glowing interviews now looked less like genuine adoration and more like carefully orchestrated PR moves designed to control perception and bury the truth.
So everything is falling down for you guys because people perceive you as bullies. And you're essentially saying like a bully argument, which is, so what, big deal, sorry your feelings are hurt, but this isn't a rise to an actual claim. Thin-skinned outrage, essentially, over us bullying you. That doesn't make you look good on paper. It doesn't make you look good in the court of public opinion. It makes you look like what you actually are, which are a bunch of bullies who think they can get away with everything.
I think of this guy, Sklenar, like Brandon Sklenar. What a miserable guy. I cannot stop focusing on him because
Candace Owens didn't hold back, cutting straight through the Hollywood fluff. She labeled Blake exactly what the whispers suggested, a spoiled brat, someone who'd been handed everything her entire life, yet craved more, creating drama and chaos simply out of boredom and insecurity. The narrative of privilege and entitlement took center stage. Blake, raised with every advantage, couldn't handle not getting her way, allegedly resorting to career-destroying tactics when challenged. The nice girl branding crumbled, revealing what many now saw as a deeply insecure and manipulative core.
Every uncomfortable moment we felt like, well, now they could do the same thing. You know, but
Right.
Brian Friedman could say, here, exactly. Okay, you want to do a settlement? Here it is. We're going to write, you are sick people who tried to take over my movie and crush a little peanut like me just because I'm a man bun wearing, you know, soft, beautiful soul.
The fallout was swift and brutal. Hollywood, once Blake's playground, turned against her. A-list friends like Bradley Cooper, Hugh Jackman, and Sean Levy reportedly distanced themselves. Studios, once eager to work with her, now saw her as toxic, a liability. Even Taylor Swift, Blake's longtime friend and PR shield, seemed to be ghosting the situation, dodging subpoenas, wanting no part of the unfolding disaster. Blake's social and professional empire began to crumble, as those who once flocked to her side scattered, leaving her increasingly isolated.
And I actually do believe that Ryan Reynolds has demonstrated that he's a narcissist. He's a total narcissist. He cannot comprehend a world. I truly believe he cannot comprehend a world in which him and his wife are not liked. People that tend to be that vicious and be that angry have unresolved pieces of themselves. And he said as much in this It Ends With Us skit that had nothing to do with the movie. He said he has like unresolved issues. And they're daddy issues. They're like daddy issues.
Adding another layer of bizarre to the unfolding drama was the scrutiny of Ryan Reynolds' humor. Candace Owens publicly dissected his recurring habit of portraying himself as a pseudo-homosexual character in skits and movies. Was it comedy or something darker? Owens suggested it was ego-driven, a desperate need for attention and control, even masking as self-deprecation. This public dissection of Ryan's comedic persona added fuel to the fire, further damaging his image and raising questions about the couple's motivations and public personas.
Because of that, he was really just using Justin Baldoni as a punching bag, because there was something about Justin Baldoni's character constantly talking about, like the real Justin Baldoni, doing this inner healing and childhood healing and addressing your true self that triggered him. Used to replace what his name is, Brian Tyler, the composer on the movie. Well, Taylor Swift is not going to give you this unless we get what we want. She wants this credit. She wants this credit. She wants her edits.
Whispers began to circulate, not just about career implosion, but about marital collapse. Could their marriage survive this public scandal? The strain of lawsuits, public humiliation, and accusations of manipulation, was it too much? Candace Owens subtly hinted at a possible exit route for Ryan, suggesting he might be considering leaving not just the lawsuit but the marriage itself. The ultimate price of their alleged power games could be the destruction of their personal lives, leaving them isolated and facing the wreckage of everything they'd built.
Then they go on to claim that Ryan Reynolds' extortion claim is invalid because he, quote, fails to allege that he received any money or property. Okay, that's a completely ridiculous argument to say, well, you can't prove that this was extortion because Ryan didn't personally receive any money or property is just dumb. And we got to read Ryan demanding that they make a public statement taking full ownership over Blake's reputation being sunk by her own interviews, and that Ryan himself quarterbacked this entire situation, okay? Also, don't forget, remember, Blake chose him to be her quote-unquote representative.
Blake Lively's fairy tale Hollywood life has imploded. The carefully constructed image, the perfect smiles, the red carpet charm, all shattered by lawsuits, accusations, and public exposure. Candace Owens didn't just challenge Blake, she burned the entire script to the ground. What's left is a cautionary tale, a stark reminder that even in Hollywood, power and manipulation have their limits. Blake Lively, once the darling, is now the headline of a Hollywood meltdown, a spectacle everyone is watching, and a lesson no one in the industry will soon forget. The queen bee has been dethroned, and the hive has turned.